Some said that this could be America's last election, while the betting markets are plumping on Donald Trump to be the likely winner in the 2024 race. But I'm gonna say that this is an election where she could easily outshine her rival, at least if we look from the surface. I'm saying this because I'm judging by the presumption where there is a larger proportion of registered female voters that could turn out to be in her favor. Plus, she is now having the vibrational support of period number 9, where women are poised to gain stronger recognition and dominance. And from the perspective of her birth chart, she has the recurring elements of the 2024 Wood Dragon that mirrors her year of birth, as well as the elements within the 2024 October month, also reflecting the exact same elements to her month of birth, thus partly signify the gap for her to gain more prominence that could put her at the forefront of the race. However, these advantages does not mean she is fated to be elected as the first female president of the United States, because even she has the most favorable and luckiest birth chart for the 2024 election, she could still lose the election if her team cannot identify the major obstacles and shortcomings. Let's take a look into her birth chart. Take note of the prosperous earth element, the 7 K-stars, and also the 2 animal signs, which are the dragon and the dog. While in this slide, we can notice the prominent Wood element, which acts as the EG star in her chart. Technically, in Bazi analysis, the Wu Earth is akin to a majestic mountain that is dependable and unmovable, whereas the 7K star means driven, courageous, strong tendency to strive for power and authority, which partly forms a portrayal of character and how people perceive her in general. At the same time, the Wood in her chart is an image of a huge chunky tree that can be regarded as protective, persevering, principled, yet unyielding, inflexible and stubborn, while the EG star can signify one's tendency to be impractical, overly perfectionist, or even detached from reality if she chooses to adopt the negative side of it. Now, let's find out what are her possible challenges in the run-up to the 2024 election. Firstly, the Wood of 2024 brings forth her good traits as well as her innate weaknesses. On the good side, the Wood as the EG star in her chart could mean she is a person of integrity and highly optimistic of her own vision, whereas on the negative aspect, this shows her lack of agility in tackling certain sentiments on the ground, because Wood often looks to grow upwards and will never look back. Secondly, the significance of the 2024 Dragon Year brings in the self-punishment configuration into her birth chart, which is also magnified by another dragon in her 10-year luck pillar. In this sense, the self-punishment in her chart implies possible self-sabotage, where she is portraying her reluctance to budge with certain pressing issues and concerns. Also, self-sabotage could imply her noble vision for the country is effectively impeded by a strong 7K rival, and very likely a strongly discontented groundswell across the country. Not discounting the 7K may also represent a huge discontentment within her grassroots base. The third aspect notably shows that she is going through a clash configuration in 2024, because the Dragon of the Year is again activating another dragon in her 10-year luck pillar and is clashing with her month pillar. In consequence to the clash at her career pillar, this brings forth the chance for her to embark on a new career opportunity, where she courageously took on the nomination from her peers to stand as a candidate. On the other hand, this also opened up new challenges because the clash configuration signifies the possibility of losing the chance to hold authority, because when the dragon and the dog clashes, this will clash away the 7K star at the same time. But that's common in politics and even in normal career, because the bigger the risk, the bigger the rewards will be. Also, the clash between the dragon and the dog in a birth chart strongly signifies that there are possible incoherence, instability, disorganization, and even possible sabotage within or even her own influential party peers, as well as towards her campaign team, because the Wood in this sense is an opposing element to the Wu Earth and the 7K star in the dog zodiac. Seems like the road to the White House isn't going to be a straightforward one for her. Nonetheless, she could still gain more upper hand if she chose not to repeat President Trump's 2017 self-punishment mistake by viewing the recent total solar eclipse and get eclipsed by President Trump's shadow, which she did, I guess. and hoping that her rivals possess a relatively weaker birth chart at this point in time. So if we briefly look into President Trump's current birth chart, his chart thrives on seeing more earth and fire elements. Therefore, his current rainwater 10-year luck pillar isn't the best as compared to the one in 2016. However, don't forget that his G-Earth has a very large potential to combine with the Jalwood of 2024. In this sense, the Jalwood to President Trump is the direct officer star that could translate to the possibility of obtaining authority and power. Not only that, J.D. Vance's birth chart also displays a little known but highly precious star in 2024 that is known as the Heavenly Officer Nobleman, which can be possibly translated into gaining status and authority too. What I'm trying to say is, although both former President Trump and Senator Vance's birth charts are not operating at their most optimum fortune per se, they are certainly not any pushovers in the race to the White House. Therefore, coming to this stage, we may wonder if there could be any gaps for her to pounce on in order to mitigate some of the disadvantages. Of course, there are. First, there is always an equal chance for her to win as long as the campaign has not ended. Secondly, she is an embodiment of a great woman that is fighting hard to create better destiny for herself and her people. And thirdly, if she is willing to leverage on the advantages of her water and metal element within her chart. So, besides from leveraging on the influences of her celebrity friends, she could perhaps gain many more votes if she is willing to show more agility and frankness in addressing issues relating to immigration, border security, the broader economy, and a full review of war funding for Ukraine that partly causes the inflation in the US. Why do I say so? Because these are the matters that encapsulate within the water and metal elements that could put her in a more favorable position, because her weak water chart would favor more support from water and metal. At least, this is in my opinion. As we look into this chart once again, water can represent movement as in migration, whereas the metal signifies matters related to the border security, economy, and finances. And if we could remember, why was she chosen to be the vice president in the first place? Year 2020 was a metal red year, where the red contains only water within and supported by the metal, which is why I say these are the unseen elements that could be instrumental in assisting her to where she is today. If she is aware of the dragon and dog clash in her chart that makes her earth element to be weaker, she could perhaps put more efforts to allay some fears within the voters by being seen as more frank and less defensive of her past track records due to serious concerns regarding trust towards the current administration. Meanwhile, although President Trump may have distorted many facts over the years, we cannot deny that he has indeed built a strong perception of being upfront and showing that he is doing his best to protect his people. Hence, in my opinion, President Trump at this stage is seen to be gaining stronger trust from many people. Therefore, it wouldn't be a surprise that many would perceive him as having the truth. He's having the truth social media. In summary, although President Trump is in the front seat to win the most electoral college votes and a good track record in defeating female opponents, I truly think that VP Harris still has every chance to be the first female president of the United States as long as the elections is not over. Because sentiments can still be swayed and the outcome can only be decided by the voters and not determined by the disadvantages of our birth chart. Also, Bazi was never designed to decide our fate. Rather, it is best used to provide a clearer foresight in strategizing better action plans so that we can create our destinies with lesser resistance. Before I end, here's wishing happy voting to our friends in America and be sure to stay safe. Please give me a like and a subscribe if you find this video is interesting. Thank you.